join me at a frozen Croft Pool in Oxfordshire. It wasn't frozen when I arrived late last night, and I managed to get a couple of rods out, but this morning when I woke up, it was absolutely solid ice. Completely different to the last time you saw me on CARPology here, where it was midsummer and I was float fishing in the pads, and yeah, beautiful, completely different. But it's actually a really good winter fishery as well. When the pads die down a little bit, the fish become a bit more accessible. So yeah, it's one of my favourite winter haunts. Croft's a lake of two halves, bisected by a big island and a channel that joins both of them. And I've picked the right-hand half of the lake for my overnighter. And the reason is I actually caught one last week out of here, so I knew that they were likely to be about. It's a good holding area for the carp. There's a couple of big snags down the margin line, but it's actually not the snags that are holding them, it's the deep water, I think, that's in front of them. So yeah, not so much snag fishing, but just that sort of channel where they're held up. Pads, islands, it's got loads of features, this swim, so yeah, a good holding area for them. And yeah, as it turned out, when Curly came through the gate this morning, I had a bite, literally, as you sort of rang me, Curly, which was a bit hectic, and I'm really glad he turned up when he did, because I was well frozen in, and luckily he managed to find a couple of bits of timber, and we managed to smash the ice, and I landed it. Throw it to the other side. Yeah, I don't want to get it wrong. Nah, just make it, if you break that piece of ice. Oh. Is that enough? No. You just need to hit it to the right. Yeah, keep doing that. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's so nearly broken. It's jammed in the pads anyway. But yeah, I'll tell you what, hit that other one, because that'll yeah, if you hit the end of it, it will push the other one up. That's it. Three? No. Nearly. Go on, hit it again. Yeah, line's free, I think. Oh, thank you to Joe for your top gillian skills there. I can't believe it's still on. Where's the net? Underneath the bits of wood that we've just used to smash the ice. Oh dear. It's never too cold, is it? It's never too cold. Oh, you wouldn't think they'd be fighting so hard either. Well, Joe, I bet you weren't expecting that this morning when you turned up to a frozen lake. And to be honest, neither was I. Oh, it's fighting so hard. Yeah, cheers. Joe smashed me a pucker little arena here. Luckily, there's a bit of building work going on behind, and we had some handy wood. Otherwise, I would have had to go and get the boat. Thankfully, it didn't get to that stage, but it doesn't feel like a bad one, to be honest. And the crazy thing is, it's actually over a fair bit of bait. I think this was the rod that I baited heaviest last night, the right-hander. Good few pouchfuls of boilies. These are 20-pounder, I think. Oh. Filming me multitasking, Joe. Well, there's not much I can do but hold on at the moment. It's actually not that big, just fighting really hard. Not that I'm complaining. It doesn't look like this is going to defrost today either, does it? That ice is pretty thick. Oh God, I can't believe how hard it's fighting. They don't fight this hard in summer, Joe. quite a plain one. There's some quite nice scaly ones in here. Oh, do you know what? I think I've caught that one before. He like will not give up. I think I recognise it as one oh, come on. Ridiculous. Oh, get in there. Oh, and the net's all folded over. We've got him. Oh, mate. Ice fishing, hey? Cheers for your help, Joe. Nice mouth on him, isn't he? Usual multi-rig, bait's come off, but yeah. A super unexpected bite this morning. I was frozen in. I was wondering how I was going to retrieve my lines, to be honest. And then a right-hander has pulled up tight. Just as Joe was coming through the gate. I almost canned it, Joe, but I knew that you would have left already. I'm glad I didn't. Yeah, not a giant, he fought so hard, it actually felt like a really good fish, but I'm well happy with that. Lovely little mirror. Oh, that water is freezing. Really unexpected prize this morning. I was on the verge of working out how to reel him in and canning it, really. It was going to be an interview. Well, it still will be an interview, but at least there was a fish at the start of it anyway. So yeah, Croft's got good winter form. I have caught them under the ice before, so yeah, if you can get them out before it freezes, it's worth fishing. But you know, if I was on my own, I wouldn't want it to be on my own. If that had happened before Curly arrived, I think I would have been in trouble a little bit. So yeah, I think in hindsight, if I'd known it was going to freeze solid, I probably wouldn't have put the rods out. But there you go, he who dares. So I'm just about dry now. It's mid-morning, late morning now. The sun's up. It's a beautiful day, but there's no chance of that ice melting. I've got one rod still out. I've got one rod still in the game. So I'm going to leave that one out while we're here. I can't get the other rod back out. So at least I've got one in the game, and we'll see what happens. If it goes, it goes. Tactics-wise, you're probably expecting me to say I've got the baiting pole out and shipped it out to the far margin. But actually, I've been casting and catapulting boilies out, which might surprise some of you, but there you go. It's been a winning tactic. And actually I've been catching over a little bit of bait, you know, several pouchfuls, mixed 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲 squid and citrus boilies, 12 millers, a few colourful ones to match my hook bait, and a few squid food baits, which, you know, both of them are digestible at this time of year. So yeah, and it's working. It's done me a couple of bites over the last couple of weeks, even under the ice this morning. Crazy. My baiting is a little bit forced as well by the other species in the lake. Now there's a lot of roach and rudd in here, and I would actually like to be using particles and smaller baits, or I certainly would on the canal or on the river, but yeah, where there's so many nuisance species in here, you're kind of forced to use a few boilies. Actually, it's turned out to be the winning method anyway. The fish like a few baits in here, and the kind of spread bait and approach of catapulting out does get them moving around, and it allows the rig to work really well. Also means that you can bait over a slightly larger area and keep the fish moving about. And certainly, I mean, it's a little bit frozen here, but I think there's a bit of ice free over the other side of the lake, and I'll put a little bit of bait in before I go, just to try and keep the fish feeding while it's cold. I know you've all seen it before, but as my rod's out of the water, can't get it back out in the ice, I'll show you my multi-rig, which I use pretty much all year. It's a great rig for dropping with the spoon. It's also good for casting. Not good for PVA bags because that will pull the little blowback section back. So for me, I only use it a single or drop in. I think if I was bag fishing, I'd use a Ronnie or a bottom bait rig, but I don't really do too much of that these days. It's singles or dropping from the spoon, and the multi's perfect for that. Really good anti-tangle properties. The way I tie it and mount it on an inline lead setup, it's very, very difficult for it to tangle and wrap around the lead. So I know that even if it lands in a heap, you know, it's not tangled, it's still fishing. Most of the time I'm fishing it overweighted as well. You know, a lot of people fish it to really settle down, but I want that rig to drop down into the fish's mouth when it picks the pop-up up and hook it. So for me, I always overweight them. Add to that as well, when the fish are fanning about, they do lift the rig around, and I'd rather have that a little bit more settled. Yeah, so it's really easy to tie. First of all, I take a length of coated braid, about 12 inches, and I'm using skin link. I tie 2 overhand knots in it, really simple. The larger overhand knot at the bottom will be used for loop-to-looping the rig to the swivel, and actually it's got the added benefit that sort of forms a bit of an anti-tangle boom as well, where you've got the material doubled over. The smaller loop at the top where you attach your hook dictates how high the pop-up sits off the bottom. Below the second loop, I'll strip back a little bit of the coating, and that roughed up bit allows me to mount a little bit of putty securely. That putty I'm using slightly overweighted. A lot of people fish the hook bait to waft around or gently sink, but I actually want that hook bait to drop down into the bottom of the fish's mouth once it's picked it up. So it's actually overweighted, and that means also that any fish wafting around the swim, the hook bait won't be flying around everywhere. Maybe that's a little bit against conventional wisdom, but it makes my rig work better, and for me I think that's more important. I'm pretty happy that however it lands, it's going to be fishing. It's got really good anti-tangle properties with an inline lead, you know, and that doubled over bit of coating. So yeah. Hook choice is a size 5 chod twister. It's a hook pattern that I've used for a long time that I really trust. Perfect for this rig as well. The D section is held in place by slipping a 3mm bore bead over the hook. You could put a little bit of shrink tubing over the eye if you wanted. I've seen people do it that way. Either or, whatever you want to try. For me, the bead works perfectly. And I can recycle the bead, and also I can recycle the boom section of the hook link. If I do blunt the hook or I need to change it in between fish and the hook link's fine, I can slip the hook off, slip the bead off, slip it onto another hook and put the hook back on. So yeah, it actually saves quite a lot of hook link material as well for the budget conscious amongst you. Hook bait of choice is a citrus pop-up. Again, something that I use a lot of the year. Love that washed out pink colour. And I attach that to the rig with a bait screw. I used to tie my baits on, did it for years, but a bait screw is so much easier. Wish I'd discovered them years ago. It just takes seconds and they're pretty secure as well. So yeah, really simple, easy to tie, recyclable components, and very effective. That's the main thing for me, catches me a lot of carp. So it's the middle of January now, and I will probably do a couple more trips down here through the winter, as long as I can get rigs in through the ice. It's been quite kind to me the last couple of winters. It's been a good haunt, and there's some lovely carp in here to catch. So yeah, it's good winter fishing, and if you can find somewhere which allows you to come out in conditions like this and catch carp, then you know they're really great venues, aren't they? So yeah, as far as the rest of the spring goes, I was actually hoping to be doing a little bit of barbel fishing as well. I've got a ticket for a stretch which holds fish up to 20 pounds, which sounds quite incredible. I know a lot of you carp guys also do a little bit of specimen fishing as well. And although I've caught quite a lot of big barbel, I've never caught anything anywhere near that size. So the chance of getting amongst them, yeah, it's been on my mind, shall we say, but the weather it's been horrific for barbel fishing and not great for carp fishing either. I think a lot of you guys, you will be looking at it and going zigs, and maybe they are the way to go on a lot of venues, but certainly if you can find somewhere shallow and you get a nice day like today, there's a good chance of a bite on a deck. So I'll be persevering over at Croft for the winter. I'm sure I'll do a couple more sessions, and if I do catch any more, I'll film them and you can see them on my next vlog. So it's pretty cold at the moment. That's obviously going to limit my ambitions and plans a little bit. As it warms up, into March, late February, March, I'll be looking at the bigger pits. I'll be looking at Horton again. You know, at the moment, bites are sporadic there. It has done the odd fish over the Christmas period, but it's so much dictated by the weather. We had a really mild spell, didn't we, just around Christmas, and it really got the fish on the feed, and now it's gone cold again. They've shut down, so I don't think there's been a bite for nearly 2 weeks out the Church Lake. Which kind of forces your hand venue-wise. You know, you can flog it out on those harder venues, you can do a lot of rod hours for not a lot of activity, or you can seek out somewhere that's a little bit kinder, higher stocked, shallower, And again, you know, it's all dictated by weather conditions. So if you're fishing a shallow lake that hasn't frozen over overnight, a day like today with bright sunshine is perfect because those fish are going to be moving around. It's actually got a little bit of heat this sun today, even though it's mid-January. Maybe that's just because it was so cold last night, but yeah, weather conditions are so important. And there has actually been a couple of times where I could have gone fishing the last couple of weeks, and I've kind of turned it down because really cold northeasterlies, close to freezing, cold rain going in, and you just know that its chances of catching one are really, really slim. So we really just need to hope for a little bit of better weather. At the moment, the forecast for the next week or so, it's looking like it's going to be like this. It's going to be 6-7 degrees during the day, sun, not a lot of wind, and really, really cold at night. So I think that's going to be it for Croft. I think that's going to be out of the window for the rest of the week. You know, it's still frozen now. By the time we get to sort of 3 or 4 o'clock, it's going to start to drop and it's going to start freezing again. I anticipate the whole lake being frozen tonight. So I'll be leaving this rod out here where I've got this little ice-free patch in front of me. Just in case I get one more opportunity, I'll be able to land it now. Got no problems about being iced in. I won't be staying another night though, because everything is 100% going to freeze over. It's due to be even colder tonight. I'll be going home, curling up on the sofa, watching a little bit of telly. But yeah, I'll be eagerly awaiting some warmer weather, something a little bit milder. When it's cold like this, you don't need much of a change. You know, a little bit of low pressure will have me scurrying out the front door with the rods for sure. Well, how's your luck? I just sent Joe on his way. I thought it was done. I was about to pack up, and the other rod's busted off. And it's a scaly banger, Joe. I'm glad you came back, mate, because yeah, this one's a corker. What a result. So glad I never reeled that other rod in, just left it out there. How's that for a January carp? Cheers for coming back, Joe. Do you know what? I think this is actually the same fish I caught about this time last year, and I'm pretty sure it was froze over that night as well, because I remember putting him back under the ice. I'd have to check my pictures, but I think it's him. Lovely carp. See you next month.